They say there's a valley in New York where the air itself feels heavy, a place called Sleepy Hollow. 2 centuries ago, a soldier lost his head to a cannonball there. Locals buried him, but his ghost never rested. Every autumn, when the fog rolls in, riders claim to hear hooves pounding behind them. But when they turn around, there's nothing. Just the smell of smoke. And a single ember glowing on the road. The legend says he still searches for what he lost. And if he mistakes you for the one who took it, he rides closer. Witnesses swear they've seen him even now. A black horse, eyes burning like fire, and a rider with no face holding a lantern shaped like a skull. Most people think it's just a story. But every October, someone disappears near the old bridge. And in the morning, their horse comes back alone. Did you know there's a town in Japan that disappeared twice? They call it Kurokami Village. It was wiped off the map after a landslide in 1972. But that's not the weird part. 5 years later, a bus full of students drove into it. A town that shouldn't exist, reappearing right where it was buried. The kids said they saw houses, lights, even people waving at them through the fog. But no one else on the mountain saw a thing. When rescue teams arrived, the bus was empty, engines still running, headlights pointing into a field of black stone. No footprints, no town, just silence. Weeks later, one camera was found. The last photo? A blurry shot of wooden houses with lanterns and a figure in the center, half faded, half smiling. Locals say Kurokami reappears every decade just for one night, and anyone who enters never comes back out. The strangest part? GPS devices still glitch near that mountain, and sometimes on foggy nights, bus radios pick up voices saying, "Welcome back to Kurokami." So if you're ever driving through rural Japan and your GPS freezes, don't stop, don't get out. And if someone on the radio greets you, don't answer. A guy named Kenji worked nights as a delivery driver in Tokyo. One shift, he got an unmarked box, no sender, no address, just a single note. Deliver before midnight. He called dispatch. They said no such order existed. But the app on his phone suddenly pinged. New route added. So he followed it. The map led to an abandoned apartment complex, windows boarded, lights dead. He knocked. No answer. But his delivery scanner beeped green. Recipient confirmed. Kenji left the box and started walking back, until he heard someone whisper his name. He turned. The box was open. Inside was a mirror reflecting him, except the reflection was still holding the package. He ran. The GPS kept repeating, "Next delivery scheduled." When police found his van the next morning, it was running with another box in the back. This one had a new label. Deliver to you. Did you know there's a library in Osaka where the books whisper? They say if you visit after closing time, the shelves rearrange themselves, and one book will always have your name on it. A student named Daichi worked part-time there. One night, he stayed late to finish inventory. Around 1 a.m., he heard pages turning on their own, soft and slow, like someone was reading in the dark. He followed the sound to the history section, and there it was, an old leather book with no title, just his name written on the spine. When he opened it, every page was blank, except the last one. It read, "You closed the library at 1:47 a.m. He checked his watch, 1:46. The lights went out. The next morning, the doors were still locked from the inside and a new book sat on the counter. Same handwriting, different name. Have you ever heard of a phone that reflects you too well? Last month, a girl named Rena downloaded a free mirror filter app that promised to show your true reflection. At first, it worked like any selfie camera until the reflection blinked a second too late. Then, one night, she opened the app again and saw her reflection smiling back, even though she wasn't. Creeped out, Rena deleted the app. But the next morning, her front camera turned on by itself, with the same filter. It whispered, "You look better this way." She covered her phone with tape, threw it in a drawer, but every time she passed a mirror, her reflection kept smiling first. Days later, Rena's mom found her phone unlocked, recording from the bathroom mirror. The video showed 2 Renas. One stepped forward, the other stayed inside the glass. The screen flickered, text appeared, "Mirror update complete. Her phone's still powered on today, and if you download the app, you'll see whose face it shows next." Did you know there's a video call you should never answer after midnight in Tokyo? A college student named Mina got a FaceTime request from an unknown number. No name, no ID, just 0. She ignored it. Then it called again. and again. When she finally answered, the screen showed herself, sitting in her own room, but from a slightly different angle. She froze. Behind her, on the screen, her reflection smiled first. The next morning, her roommate found Mina's phone still recording, the camera facing the wall, but when they played it back, the last frame wasn't the wall. It was Mina, standing behind herself, whispering, "You picked up." No one's been able to trace the number. They say if 0 calls you, someone's already watching from your other side. Did you know Japan's train conductors sometimes report passengers who don't exist? They call them the ones between stations. One night, a conductor named Kenji was finishing his last route through the countryside. He saw a woman standing alone on the empty platform. Pale face, long black coat, and she waved him down. He opened the doors. She didn't move. Still, the doors closed. And when he checked the rear camera, she was sitting in the last car. Only problem? That car was locked. At the next stop, no one got off. Kenji walked through the train, every seat empty, except one. A wet umbrella leaned against it, dripping onto the floor. He replayed the security footage later, frame by frame, and froze. The woman never boarded the train. She was already sitting there when it arrived. In 1961, a train passenger left behind a small wooden music box on a seat in Paris. No one ever claimed it. The melody was soft and like a lullaby. A station worker took it home, but when he tried to wind it, it was already playing, and it never stopped. Day after day, that same tune, gentle but just slightly off-key. He hid it in a drawer, yet at night he could still hear it, faintly through the walls. When he finally smashed it open, he found something strange inside, a folded train ticket, for the same route he worked on. Dated the day his wife had died. He quit the next morning and gave the box to the railway museum. It's still there, sealed in glass, but visitors swear if you stand close enough, you can hear that melody playing, even though the box hasn't been wound in 60 years. Did you know there's a hotel in Kyoto where they never clean one mirror? They say if you wipe it, it shows you what used to be in the room. A traveler named Sota booked that room by mistake, room 305. The staff warned him not to touch the mirror, but he laughed it off. That night, he saw handprints appear on the glass from the inside. He grabbed a towel and wiped it clean. The reflection flickered, and for a second his room looked older, burned, black soot across the walls. Then he saw someone standing behind him. A woman in a kimono, her face hidden, staring at the mirror instead of him. He spun around. No one. But the towel in his hand was damp and smelled like smoke. The next morning, the staff found his luggage still there and new handprints on the inside of the mirror. Did you know there's a sound in South Korea that drives people insane if they hear it alone? They call it the echo of Namsan. In 2019, a student named Hana stayed late at her university lab near the mountain. Around midnight, she heard someone whisper her name, but when she turned, no one was there. She thought it was a joke, until the whisper came again, perfectly copying her own voice. She recorded it on her phone, but when she played it back later, it wasn't just her name. It said, "Stop listening." After that night, Hana couldn't sleep. Every silence had an echo. Her classmates said she'd start talking, then pause, as if something else was finishing her sentences. A week later, she was found in the soundproof room, walls covered in words she'd scratched with her nails. It learned my voice. And the recording? No one ever heard her side of it again, only the echo. In 1953, a family in northern Italy moved into an old countryside home. In the attic, they found a tall antique mirror, dust-covered but beautiful. They hung it in the hallway. That night, the mother saw something strange. Her reflection was smiling, even though she wasn't. She told her husband, but when he looked, it was normal. Weeks passed. Then the youngest son claimed he saw someone else in the glass, a woman standing behind him, even when no one was there. They covered the mirror with a sheet, but every morning it was uncovered again. Eventually, they locked it in a storage room and moved away. Years later, new owners found it, and when they polished the surface, faint words appeared along the edge, carved so small you could barely read them. It said, "Don't forget me." And to this day, no matter how many times it's cleaned, the words come back. In 1972, a clockmaker in Prague built a watch that refused to tick. He called it the waiting clock. Every gear worked perfectly, but no matter how he wound it, it stayed silent. until the day he died. That morning, his daughter swore she heard a single tick. By the time they found him, he was gone, and the clock was running. After the funeral, it stopped again. The family tried selling it, even destroying it. Every time it somehow reappeared in their home, perfectly intact. Decades later, the granddaughter donated it to a small museum. The curator said it's quiet until someone mentions the clockmaker's name. Then it ticks, once. Visitors say if you listen closely, you can still hear it. One tick for every person who speaks his name. And the hands, they only move at midnight.